Welcome to the seventh podcast of CIPS MENA Procurement Master Talk series. I'm your host, Lalit Dhamija, with 40 years of experience in procurement and supply. After 37 years of my corporate career, um, I am now a global and procurement a supply chain trainer and coach. I have been working as a CIPS volunteer in UAE since 2009. Today, I am honored to be joined by Fatima Balfaqueeh. We will learn about dispute resolution and how does it relate to procurement. We will summarize the key learnings at end of the podcast. CIPS MENA Procurement Master Talk series covers in-depth interviews with procurement and supply chain management professionals from various diverse industries. The stories about high and lows in the lives of procurement masters provide thought-provoking insights to face the market challenges in procurement and supply chain professionals' pursuit to become strategic partners of their organizations. Our guest for today, CIPS MENA Procurement Master Talk Show, is Fatima Balfaqueeh. Welcome, Fatima.
Thank you very much, Leila. It's an honor to be here as well.
You're welcome. And Fatima Balfaqueeh comes with 15 years of experience working and heading the contracts and procurement functions in both government and semi-government entities, and successfully delivering on major procurement transformation projects. Fatima worked in major and minor construction related projects, support services, facility management, marina management, and IT contracts, in addition to playing a major role in automating the procurement processes in different modules. She is well versed in commercial aspects due to her work experience in banking and project accounting roles. Arbitrator, a mediator, a member of Chartered Institute of Arbitrators, a member of RICS as a Chartered Facilities Management Surveyor, and a chartered member of Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply. Fatima Balfaqueeh is the founder and managing director of RKAH Consultancy, with active involvement with International Chambers of Commerce, UAE, as a board member of Chartered Institute of Arbitrators, and she is a member of UAE Branch Committee and is a board member in the RICS MENA Advisory Board and on a global panel of Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors and many more international and domestic alternative dispute resolution institutes. Once again, welcome, Fatima. So
Thank you very much
we have
for this
got the
introduction.
first question for you. Fatima, how did you enter the procurement and supply chain world, and how has been the journey so far?
Employees at my generation or even the generation before,
Mm-hmm.
we all might say that we ended up there by chance because
Correct.
at that time there wasn't really like a major for supply chain at universities that they will teach you about this profession. So my background is actually finance.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I studied in university. And my first job was in a bank. So I was working in corporate banking.
Mm-hmm.
So dealing with a lot of LCs, with a lot of contracts. And that was my first exposure to really contracts and procurement.
Mm-hmm.
And then I moved to be a projects accountant. Again, as you know, projects accountant, my
Yeah.
main source of information is that I started, dealing with the procurement team a little bit more. I really liked reading through the contract.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the first time I moved from accounting or projects accounting to procurement.
Mm-hmm.
I told my manager then, I told him, I don't have experience in procurement. And
Mm-hmm.
he says, do you go out to the market and buy something? I said, yes. He said, do you go buy the first thing, or do you kind of several options. I was like, of course you see several options. He goes like,
Wow.
there you go. This is procurement.
So everyone is
Join
a
the
buyer.
team.
So that's a good
Exactly.
analogy. Everyone is a buyer. Yeah.
It is.
Good.
Everyone is a buyer. Everyone
Uh-huh.
has practiced buying in the
Yes.
procurement capacity in one way, shape, or form in their life, you know?
Correct.
So I started going there and going through my procurement career.
Mm-hmm.
And I really found myself and found my interest, and I was really ready. Like my career launched when I moved to procurement. I was able to find my place and what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and it transitioned me as well into the legal world, because you deal with contracts, you deal with procurement, you have to deal with legal, and you
Yes.
have to deal with conflicts and disputes and claims and all of that, and
Absolutely.
escalation. So yeah, that was also an organic growth out of procurement.
Mm-hmm.
uh, how do I see it so far? I mean, procurement remains one of my passions.
Mm-hmm.
I still love to work within procurement projects. And I'm very passionate about showing people that procurement is not only transactional. There's so many aspects on how you can add value as a procurement professional.
Absolutely. A very exciting story, Fatima. And see, in procurement, we welcome professionals from different disciplines. And as you said, during our time, we did not have any major procurement and supply chain. So people will
Sure.
come here by accident only. But now, like I am mechanical engineer by profession, so uh, I was in the engineering major projects, and then we landed up into procurement and supply chain because of quality control inspection. And once we are in this world, like you were saying, I saw so much potential in this at every level. Take it from specification, scope of work, supplier qualifications,
True.
or you making the bid, terms and conditions, and then innovative ways of floating the inquiry, technical criteria, commercial criteria, negotiations, award, post award. So there is so much potential within this and lot of satisfaction, and that is what makes you passionate about it. People who come to
Very true.
procurement and supply, hardly anyone I know who says I am not passionate about it, because like as you rightly said, there are so many diverse areas in which we can contribute into this. So
True.
Fatima, how your colleagues and peers will describe you in 3 words?
Leila, that's like a very difficult question to ask anybody.
I thought it
Um,
would be straightforward and easy one. No?
not at all. But I would say what I hope they they describe me with
Mm-hmm.
is being hardworking,
Mm-hmm.
uh, very diligent, and very ambitious. But
Hardworking, ambitious, yeah. Mm-hmm.
yes, but
That we can, yeah.
yeah, I have a couple of employees that told me that I'm tough but fair. Now
Oh,
I don't
good.
know how they're
Very
going
good.
to
Uh-huh.
translate that.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if it's a compliment or not much, but yeah, it's what you wish people kind of perceive you as, more than what goes into their mind, you know.
Mm-hmm. As knowing your profile and researching your profile, I have seen so many qualifications, and you are into areas where people even like are not very comfortable to talk about arbitration, mediation, don't want to go into those areas. So definitely in your personality, you are tough and fair. I think it suits your profession, which is for being the arbitrator and mediator and a
Very
procurement
true,
expert.
very true.
So wonderful. So, Fatima, what is a typical day of your professional life as an entrepreneur?
Yeah.
And how is it having your own setup as compared to being a company worker before?
Well, it's really very different, to be honest. You know,
Mm-hmm.
once you're an employee, and I've been an employee for 15 years,
Mm-hmm.
and I've learned so much from the roles that I played, and I learned on a personal capacity and on a professional capacity.
Mm-hmm.
But as you know, Leila, it's extremely different. You have already a routine, you
Mm-hmm.
have a setup, you have your resources going. If you
Yeah.
need help in any situation,
Yeah.
you ask the IT, or you ask the HR, or you ask, whoever you need to ask within the organization, and they will all help you to achieve it. But when you go on your own as an entrepreneur, it's really very different,
Mm-hmm.
because you need to basically create something from scratch,
Mm.
have a lot of discipline,
Mm.
because it's so easy to kind of procrastinate, and say I will do this tomorrow, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
in a little bit. You don't have a manager to tell you, oh, I need this today, or put any pressure, right?
Right.
So
Mm.
so yeah, you have to kind of have a very strong discipline,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the beginning when you're setting up the business.
Yeah.
And you really have to have a very clear vision of where do you want to go, you
Mm.
know, because there are a lot of challenges, as you know, in being on your own, and it's so easy for human beings in general to give up.
Yeah.
So, you have a challenge, you go like, is it really worth it? Do I want to go on?
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have a very clear vision,
Mm-hmm.
you will most definitely give up.
Yeah.
And it's just the resources and everything. So for me, I have created a system that was very different before COVID
Mm-hmm.
and after
Mm-hmm.
COVID,
Yeah.
because I used to take advantage of the time where the kids and the family are in their
Mm-hmm.
schools or in the job, so I can have some peace and quiet and work a little bit on whatever I
Yeah.
need to.
Now it is all different.
Now my meetings are regularly interrupted by my kids.
Yeah,
And
that we are seeing, and people accept that. So,
yes,
yeah, absolutely. When my daughter is conducting meetings, my grandson is in her lap, and the office is seeing it is
exactly.
fine, it is accepted, they enjoy it.
It is, and it's really for me. It have been really nice to see that the acceptance and openness of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Funnily, before COVID, I was seriously considering, like, because my operation is depending on me basically, and
Mm.
if I hire anybody, it's like third party.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, na khalas, I will have an office, I will set up an office.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you do need the office space.
Yes.
And then when COVID happened, I was like, no, everybody have accepted this lifestyle
Yeah.
and this,
Imagine.
working from home.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Right.
So yeah, the plan completely changed. So you really need to be also adaptable and agile while running your business. You need to all the time assess the situation around you in
Mm-hmm.
order to know how to best use the resources that you have,
Mm.
how to do a lot with little. That's the main thing that you need to do as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, how to do a lot with less, and create something from scratch, have a lot of discipline, very clear vision or a strong vision of where you want to go, and you have to be adaptable and agile and assess the
Yeah,
situation, and act accordingly. And you have to do a lot with the less, means resources are always a challenge.
true.
Wonderful, good sharing of knowledge. And can you explain the role of arbitrator and mediator? I'm really particularly interested in this one, and coming from somebody who's.
So I will start this by explaining what is the difference between arbitration and mediation, especially
Mhm.
for the listeners or people who this is the first time they hear about this.
Yeah.
So I will start with mediation. Mediation is basically a form of conflict resolution tool where two or more parties or people will voluntarily come and decide to reach an agreement. So they have a dispute, they have a claim, but they know that they don't want to proceed with this any further, and they want to, come into an agreement. So they hire a third party, usually very independent mediator,
Hmm.
And the mediator, and this is where the role comes in. So me as a mediator, I will guide them through a process, because mediation is really a series of processes to assist both parties to reach this agreement. So you have to do a series of questioning, you take them into separate rooms, put them back into one room to speak, have a lot of emotional intelligence as well into it, and soft skills. You know, if you see somebody is getting very angry, you give them some time. It's really a series of tools to help you achieve that outcome, which is resolving the dispute. And the result of this mediation process is an agreement that both parties will adhere to, and they will move on from that dispute. I take
Okay.
the point of view that, you know, mediation is a very strong tool if done correctly. It really must be stipulated very clearly in the contract from the beginning. And this is where procurement professionals come to play. You need to really highlight mediation as a mechanism in your escalation process or termination process, you know, before you reach to that worst scenario, you know, worst case scenario.
So mediation, you explained us, two or more people will come voluntarily for an agreement, and they come to a third party who's a mediator, and mediator has tools and techniques, and uses number of questions, series of like emotional intelligence, soft skills, to come to an agreement after understanding the two parties, right? Do we
Sure.
have any regulation here that people need to go to a registered or a certified mediator, or it is a word of mouth and reputation of the mediator?
Well, there are the two, but usually, especially with complex mediation, commercial mediation, parties tend to choose somebody who is certified, you know,
Certified.
and somebody who is also well known. There's no use of you being certified, but your reputation is really not that good, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you
Yeah.
have to maintain a certain reputation in the market. People know that you are on a certain level of ethical standard, and you know you have some sort of skills that you will add to the how your experiences and your fields of expertise technically as well play a role.
Yeah. So procurement means you should have some background about the particular profession from where these parties are coming.
True. So this is the first aspect of dispute resolution. The second aspect, which is arbitration, which is a little bit more formal process. So it is a way that the parties choose to use instead of going to the court system. It is an alternative to the traditional litigation process. So instead of hiring a lawyer and going into a lawsuit in the courts, the parties would choose from the beginning of the contract that, okay, if we have any issue that might escalate to courts, we will not go to courts, we will go to arbitration. So it is a legal process, and it is usually judged by a 1 or 3 member tribunal, who, you know, I heard this term and I really liked it. It explains the process very nicely. An arbitrator is an independent judge,
Is an
because at the end
independent judge.
yes,
Okay.
because at the end of the arbitration, what you provide is a final award, and this final award is enforceable in courts.
Yes.
So
So,
you are playing the role of an independent judge.
and this, when you say final award, let me come to mediation, they come to an agreement. Now, this
Yeah,
agreement is enforceable by law, and the same thing about the arbitration. You come to a
no,
final award, is it enforceable by law?
yeah. So for mediation, because it's a voluntarily process,
Yeah.
then it is not enforceable by courts, but it
Okay.
is like any other contract. So
Agreement, yeah,
if you
or
have a
contract.
contract,
Okay.
yeah, if you have a contract, you will honor the contract.
Yes, yes.
But if you don't honor the contract, then it's an issue and you need to go and claim your rights under it. But for arbitration, no, it's a judgment. It's
It is
not a
judgment.
contract.
So
Yes.
this is all
So
legal, like it is a legally binding judgment for arbitration.
legally binding. So the award usually after it's approved or issued by the arbitrator, if it's done through an arbitration center here in the UAE, then they review it, they ratify it, and then it goes to the courts, and you immediately enforce your judgment. You don't need to go to another judge,
Okay.
and خلاص, it's immediately enforceable.
So this might be like saving time for the parties also.
It is.
Okay, so this might be a good tool
Yeah.
initially.
Really,
First,
it saves time, it saves money,
mm-hmm.
it is confidential, so it's not like the court proceeding. Court proceeding, anybody can go in and
Yes,
sit and listen.
right.
Versus arbitration, no. Even mediation, arbitration and mediation, they're very confidential, and confidentiality is in the forefront of any arbitrator or mediator's mind.
Okay. So confidentiality is a big issue in this one, which you should, of course, they are trusting you as a mediator or arbitrator, and the things have to be confidential. Is there a way like first people do mediation and then go for arbitration, or these are two independent things?
No, there is something called escalation clauses,
Mm-hmm.
usually placed in the contract. So usually in the contracts, you will see like an article or a clause talking about dispute management or termination process, something into that field. Okay, so that usually stipulates the process of which, what does the parties do if they have a dispute.
Mm-hmm.
So first, they ask you, especially if you're going through a FEDEC contract or even a normal contract, they will tell you first you need to negotiate it in good faith,
Mm-hmm.
and then you try to amicably resolve it, which means you mediate it. So amicably resolving is very similar to mediation.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer to write very clearly mediation.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you don't reach an agreement within a certain time frame, usually I like to also limit it with a time limit.
Yeah.
So we say if you don't reach an agreement within 40 days,
Mm-hmm.
then you go either to courts or to arbitration. So
Okay.
usually these tools are very clearly stated in the contracts themselves.
So we should make sure in the terms and conditions this dispute resolution is clearly stated, and of course we should know how it has to be escalated. Maybe first
True.
negotiation, mediation, arbitration, and if suppose arbitration is not successful, suppose then parties have what do parties do after that if arbitration is
There isn't like a successful arbitration. It's either you judge for or against.
for
So
that is it, and it is for
that is,
the so parties have to honor that. I understand it be
there is no limit, there is no other
uh,
tool other
other
than that.
stage, there is no other
No, no,
escalation avenue available here, but
no, and there is no appeal as well.
there is no appeal in arbitration. Then why do people go for litigation?
Usually litigation, either people are not comfortable with arbitration or
Okay.
lack of knowledge.
Uh-huh.
Uh, some entities, especially if you're speaking about, let's say, a contract between a private company and, let's say, a government company, they are
Mm-hmm.
more comfortable going through the court process. So it's
Okay.
really the choice of the parties. They have to assess their situation, the risks, and choose which way they want to go.
And it should be clearly stated in the contract if
Yeah,
beforehand that in
yeah,
case of dispute what course will be following.
yeah.
And sometimes I've seen they say this will be applicable, or if there's an issue, this will be treated in court in London or court in some particular
Sure.
destination, right?
You,
That
you,
also
you
they
have
right.
you have the flexibility to choose
Mm-hmm.
the laws that you want to apply. You
Yeah.
have the flexibility to choose where the arbitration must be
Mm-hmm.
conducted. So set
Yeah.
the seat of arbitration. There's
Yes.
really a lot of tools that you can use in order to control the situation.
Mm-hmm. And Fatima, normally suppose the contract or work is taking place in UAE, we will
Yeah.
expect that arbitration will be done within the UAE, or can it
Not
also be done anywhere else?
not necessarily. Whatever the parties agree to is what will
Hmm.
happen.
Okay, so there's a lot of insights we gain into arbitration and mediation and something about litigation. So
Yeah.
moving on, Fatima, what have been your major achievements in in your career so far?
Well, alhamdulillah, yani I've had a lot of successes and a lot of failures as well.
See, this is
So,
how we learn, and it is good. The way
yeah,
we admit, like we can't win them all, but seeing your
exactly.
qualifications and the activities you are involved in, so all of us are going through the journey. But kindly, I want to hear from you, please.
Yeah, definitely. So, major achievements, alhamdulillah, yani every time I achieve something that I'm set out to do, I really celebrated. I
Hmm.
remember when I had my master's degree, I graduated with an honor. My highest achievement was being, certified or celebrated by Sheikha Fatma bint Mubarak
Oh,
as
good,
an honor student. Yeah, that was for me like a very
wonderful. Yeah,
high, yeah, a very high point in my life, you know.
yeah.
Also, whenever I'm appointed as a board member,
Mm-hmm.
I'm currently a board member three different international organizations.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them I am the first UAE national, and some
Oh,
of them I am the first UAE national woman on board.
that's a big
So
achievement. Yeah.
yeah, it fills me with pride that I'm representing
Mm-hmm.
the wonderful ladies that we have here in the UAE
Right.
and representing my country as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Also, when I got my first case as an arbitrator, that was a huge success story for me.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's not easy also breaking into a new field, you know.
Yes, yes,
So, yeah, I really celebrated that. It was a while back, but I really celebrated that a lot. That was a success for me. And of course, anytime when you're in your career, you know, you submit or you deliver a successful project, or
mm-hmm.
you a very complex tender that you
Mm-hmm.
have, you know, and you deliver it and it's on time,
Yeah,
and you achieved your goal and you submitted it in less or lower than the budget, you're always happy, and you consider that as a success as well.
yes,
um, yeah, and also, you know, even achieving my CIPS certification, which was a funny journey, but also a very rewarding one. I was able to pass my MSIPS from the first time.
on the first time,
Uh,
which is like, okay, this is an achievement, I should say. Yes. Uh-huh.
yeah, it is an achievement. I gave myself a very limited time
Mm-hmm.
because I really wanted to do it. And the
Yeah,
first time I attempted CIPS, and this is where we have to speak about the failures as well.
yeah,
Um, I remember when I was working still in one of the organizations,
yeah.
you know, my manager was like, you know, you should attempt SIPS, and I was like, okay, fine. And I
Uh-huh.
went through not the management route, but the, you know, the five examinations that you have.
Yes, yes, so that's quite time consuming, and yes, and you have to take examination, read books. It is a journey.
It
Yes.
is a journey, and I
Yeah.
failed the five exams gloriously. You
Oh
know?
my God.
Oh
So
my God, all of them, yes. So when I reattempted the SIPS journey,
uh-huh.
I was like, I'm gonna nail this, and I'm gonna do
Yeah.
it, and you know, I'm gonna set a record to make up for the fantastic
Yeah, I
failure
know.
I had
Uh-huh.
before.
So that motivates you. The point is, failures motivate you. Like they are lessons. Like you're saying, this will really inspire our audience. Many people in the audience to really go in for SIPS and complete the SIPS qualification
Yeah,
you did. So
yeah,
it is a challenging thing. It is tough, but it is rewarding ultimately. So
it
good.
is.
You discuss. You were very transparent, and you shared with your our audience your successes and failures. about your successes. I think I should have done a proper research to know all these. You were first UAE national and first UAE lady to achieve many things. So I
Yeah.
did not include in your profile, but in our show notes, I will like to mention, and I request you to put in LinkedIn profile. So this point
Yeah.
is when we are sharing, it inspires other youngsters, and it inspires other national or expats, you know.
Very
So,
true.
uh-huh, wow. So great. And Fatima, what do you do to upskill yourself?
So, upskilling is something that I also have ingrained within the way I was raised from my family. You always have to push yourself. You always have to look for information.
Mm,
So, always like read articles. There's a lot of resources
mm,
available. Even if you become only, and this is how I got to know what is SIPS. I
mm-hmm,
only got to be a member only, or have a membership on the website, not
mm-hmm.
an MSIPS, but
Yeah,
only like a membership to access the information on SIPS.
yes.
And the wealth of information that is on the website is really huge.
I agree. I agree.
So
I'm like from 12 years, I'm into this, but it does not end. And we are surprised every day the new content is being added, and anything new which is coming, talk about blockchain, artificial intelligence, robot process automation, it will be there on the SIPs. So
true,
I
true.
agree with you. Lot of information. It all is depending on the individual, how much in deep depth the people want to go and study.
Mm. And you go and and you like get yourself out there, you research, you
Yes.
ask. That,
Uh-huh.
yani you will be shocked how many people want to give information. They're
Yes.
just waiting for somebody to ask.
Yeah.
So ask questions. It does not matter right, wrong, how do you sound like. The most important thing that you ask the question to
Yeah.
gain more knowledge.
Yeah.
And don't be scared to make mistakes. I've done plenty and learned from them. And once you learn, you become that much stronger, that much more vigilant, and you will not, whoever does not, only the one who does not work does not have mistakes, you know. So
Yeah. Absolutely.
the more you have mistakes, the more you learn, you know. But let's hope they're all like very small mistakes and nothing
Yeah.
too
I know.
disastrous, right? But
Correct.
yeah, this is how I upskill myself mainly.
Hey, that's so good. And you were very transparent and, of course, forthcoming and told us clearly and pushing yourself, looking for information, reading articles, researching. Uh, how many people, the people really want to get information, I've seen. And they feel pride in giving information. You should not be afraid of approaching people. They feel proud, like somebody has approached them. And we get amazed. People are there who are ready to help you also, and we should not be afraid of asking questions. Okay, we make mistakes, but you learn from it and become more stronger and you grow. So good way in which we can upskill. And of course, the last one, some things will be common. Still, it is important for us. What will be your message for young professionals, procurement professionals in particular?
um, get involved, you know, get involved in the business,
Mm-hmm.
understand who are you buying for and what are you buying, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Even if you're a small buyer, even if you're an executor, you know, understand what is this little role that you are playing, how is it serving the company, because then you will no longer think about your job as you know, a transactional, or you're only pushing papers. But no, you can see the actual value that you're bringing to the organization, you know.
Yeah.
Have a little bit of a strategic overview. Think with purpose. Do not do the step because you know your boss told you, or because
Mm.
the process says so. But no,
Yeah.
truly understand, why is the process written this way? What is it trying to achieve? Why is the boss told you that direction and not the other one? I also found it very rewarding when I was at the beginning to kind of initiate my desire for my manager that I want more. you know,
Hmm.
can I
Hmm.
get a little bit more responsibilities? As
Okay.
you know, the field of procurement is filled with daily tasks, and the manager will be more than happy to have extra helping hand,
Absolutely. Yeah.
you know.
Uh-huh.
So, but you really have to initiate that. The manager will not come to you and say, how about you come and help me? They're busy with something else. So you
Yes.
initiate, you show
Yes.
that spirit of giving, and
Yeah.
it will only reward you back as well.
Right. Sometime when I start my training, I show my profile. I show my profile and I see so many country visited, so many plants visited, and I say this was all from my company. And I said, I tell them, my boss was not like very happy, and he said, like, you are a blue-eyed boy, you go to all these places. We have to generate each and every initiative. If you are going out, you have to make a proposal why we want to go out, why we want to visit this manufacturer overseas, how the value will be created for the company. So absolutely, like you said, you have to seek more responsibilities, and you have to see how the value creation will be there for the company. This is a self initiative, like you said, many things we can add value. If you see the full procurement cycle, we can add value from right from the specification, scope of work, supplier qualification, technical criteria, commercial criteria, evaluation, which type of award, and then post award, so much potential is there, supplier relationship management, performance management, and use of technologies, innovation. So absolutely good message, which says seek more responsibilities. And as you said, procurement has so much potential in which we can really contribute. Wonderful. So it is time for the wrap up now. What I will do is I will again restate the key learning points here. And thank you very much for giving us all this information about your career, as well as what worked for you, what did not work for you, and you were transparent in that one. So Fatima, you shared with us, and you said uh, focus on being better than yourself each day, that you told us. And you should, like you said, you are tough and fair, you are hardworking, that is your personality, which we can, of course, emulate and create something from scratch. Have a lot of discipline. Like when you say you are an entrepreneur and company workers, this is the difference. In the company, you may have resources, you may have a support, but as an entrepreneur, you have to create everything yourself as an independent entity. And we need a lot of discipline, very clear, strong vision, what you want, where you want to go. You have to be adaptable, you have to be agile, and constantly you have to assess the situation and see what best. And now when we came for dispute resolution, you are expert in this. You really informed us, educated us what is mediation, and what is arbitration, what is litigation, what are the differences between the two, how can we escalate things, which clauses should be there, or there should be clauses in terms and conditions, how this dispute has to be resolved, and the various tools and techniques you are using for mediation. You told about that, and you told us for arbitration there'll be an award which will be, of course, ratified by arbitration center and by the court. So the parties should be very clear in the beginning which course they want to take in the here. And as coming for your upskilling and the thing which worked for you, you said whenever you achieve something, a major achievement, you are celebrating that success. And you had many firsts to your name as being a UAE national lady. And the reasons and the watchwords for us are push yourself, look for information, read articles, research how many people want to give information, that you will know. If you ask them, people are ready to give information. We have to ask, and we have to learn from our mistakes. Everybody will commit mistakes. And of course, you have to be conscious. Mistakes are not major mistakes. Everyone commits mistakes. And if we learn from them, we grow. And for the young professionals, you said they have to get involved. They have to understand the business they're in. If they understand that, it will no longer be a routine. So they should know how they can serve the company, what actual value they are bringing. They could be a bit assertive also. And they should know how the processes are written, what they are trying to achieve. So if you seek more, you will get the answers, and you should seek more responsibilities and take initiatives which are going to help us. Lot of learning, lot of contribution to body of knowledge from your side, Fatima. We are really very grateful to you for your time and for your knowledge sharing. I thank you so much for joining us. Anything you want to tell us before going, Fatima?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Leilat. I am also honored to be a part of the CIPS MENA Masters Procurement Talks,
Mhm.
especially in its new format, which is the podcast series.
Yeah.
It only shows, as I told you, very high adaptability from your side.
Mhm.
And I really am also getting inspired from yourselves and from other podcast guests that I've been listening to. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And Fatima, if some of our audience they want to contact you after the podcast, how can they do?
So basically, you can reach out. I'm available on LinkedIn. And I also have my email, which is showing now,
Yeah.
fatima.balfaqeh@gmail.com. And if you reach me either by the email or by the normal mail, I will respond.
That's wonderful. All the very best to you in your entrepreneur pursuits. And
Thank
we'll
you.
see you sometimes for a next session. Thank you very much, Fatima.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Audience, thank you all for tuning in. You can find all the podcasts which we are doing under the CIPS MENA Procurement Master Talks on the CIPS Facebook page. And we will also provide you the link in the show notes when we are publishing this particular podcast. Thank you to the audience once more.